Welcome, I'm Charles Brock. When I first started woodworking, I was a flatboarder. But then I saw the beautiful work of Sam Maloof, and it inspired me to become a sculptured furniture maker. Let's go! The spindles are no different from any other part of the chair. It all starts at the joiner. You've got to face joint your spindle stock and then take it to the planer, plane it to 1.5 inches in thickness. The next thing to do is to get your pattern. This is a side profile pattern, and you can lay it down on your stock and actually nest the parts together so you can get the maximum amount of yield. But you do have to watch out for things like the color of the wood. If there's some sapwood that you don't want to be a part of your spindle, you can do something about that now. Also, you need to consider your wood grain. This has nice long grain down here on this end, which will give it a lot of strength. In fact, the long grain kind of runs all the way through the spindle. And that's what you want. You don't want to have short grain for your spindle stock. This is the second spindle pattern. This is a front profile. Now, the front profile always references from the bottom, and all you have to do is lay it down, push it against a board that would be like a fence on your table saw or something like that. And then you can just trace this very simply at the top and the bottom. And then flip it over and get the other side. We're going to flip it and do it the other way. I've already got it marked out anyway, but just to give you the idea of how to do this. And both of these patterns come in your rocker bundle. All right, so now we're going to take this to the bandsaw, and we're going to cut out the front profile. So some things I've already done is I put a center line here using a marking gauge, found the center of it, went all the way around, and it's important to go all the way around because this little line down here at the center will help me when I start to make my tenon. I'll know where the center is. And in the best interest of making a symmetrical spindle, it's marked all the way around. So each side has an opportunity to be the same. And I've marked an F here in front, and what that means is for every spindle that I do, I want to make sure I'm marking it on the right side. I happened to visit with a great furniture maker who had made some spindles and placed them upside down in his chair. And so that's why I have an F here, because that is the front of the spindle. And it also helps me when I start to lay out my crowns. The front of the spindle is going to have a crowned surface. In other words, it won't be flat, but just slightly curved out to a line. So I came about 3/16 from this edge here, and I made a little mark, and using my finger as a fence, I continued to mark that out. Now I can flip it over to the other side, and I know exactly where I need to crown to. So let's start making those crowns now. The first thing to do is to make a 45 degree angle, just taking that little ridge off at the corner all the way down to the red line. Okay, now I'm going to do it on the opposite side. All right, now that leaves a little ridge right here. And I'm going to get up on top of that ridge right there, and I'm going to take it off. And it's starting to curve out to this edge a little bit. Now, right here, along here, we've got the slightest little ridge that needs to be taken out. And with a preponderance of little flats there, or little flat segments, we're able to make it curve out from the center line out to this line right here. It's just a nice slight crown or curve. Now there are some other tools that can be very helpful also. Spoke shave can be just the ticket, especially if you're working some really good wood and don't have to fight the grain too much. And it leaves a nice surface. Well, I'm going to work all the way around. Down to that line, and take a scraper and kind of finish cleaning it up with that scraper and shaping it. You got 7 little projects here to do, 7 spindles. But they look so organic, especially as they fit into the curve of the headrest and all the movement in that coopered seat. Now, this is fun. All right, I've connected all of the flats, and it's starting to feel nice and curved from the center line here. In fact, I've actually taken my center line. And so, yeah, it feels good. I can look down the horizon here, and it curves away from the center very nicely. And we're down to the red line. Well, I don't want to take the red line yet. Now I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to work on the round over. We need to round over the back. And the round over is going to require a much larger flat, 45 degrees on both of these edges, so that we can accomplish that round over. Let me show you how. All right, next I'm going to make a 45 right here on this edge, this little ridge that's sticking out at 90 degrees. I am going to flatten this at 45 degrees, about 1/4 of an inch equidistant from the edge of this ridge. That's going to come all the way back, because this is a big round over. It's going to be rounded over all the way to the center line that we made earlier. And actually, it's going to round over to this red line eventually. There's a lot of work here. Watch me. I've got this 45-degree flat exactly where I want it now. It's about the same width all the way along this edge. And so I know that that's where I need to stop. And now I can move to this ridge right here. And I want to take it out. Now, where you can, it's nice to be able to use the spoke shave. But if it starts ripping out grain, so forth, if it feels like, your project's at risk here, then switch back to the rasp, because the abrading is just, it's a little harder to accomplish, but the abrading will accomplish a nice round over too. This is just a little faster when it works. So I'm right on top of that ridge, right there. And I am putting another flat in place right on top of that ridge. And notice I keep changing to accommodate the grain. Now my markings on here help tell me kind of where I've been and let me know where I need to go. And there have been people who have told me before where I need to go. I don't listen to them, but I pay attention to my markings. And I'm getting closer and closer to the center of the back of the spindle. Be careful when you're using the spoke shave, because what the spoke shave giveth, it also will taketh away. gives you a nice clean cut, but it also can take out a chunk in a hurry and leave you wanting to either turn to drink or drugs. And none of us wants to be in either one of those positions. I just love doing the shaping. That's what sculptured furniture is all about. Now, I need to work right here on top of this ridge. Right there. I'm going to work on that ridge. And I'm going to work at an angle. In other words, I'm not going to work this flat area right here. I want it to round over all the way to that point. And so I've got to work at an angle still. And you notice I repositioned it so that I can see this curve a lot better as I work. It's so important where you stand in relationship to your work. Very important. After you finish doing the crowns on the front and the roundovers on the back of your spindles, then you need to complete the tenons on the bottom. Now, I use a 1/2-inch tenon cutter, tenon maker, with a rounded blade. There's the rounded blade right there. They make these with a straight blade. You can get them from Lee Valley, Veritas, and you don't want the straight blade, you want the 1/2-inch with a curved blade. Now once you get it set real well, then you can use this to make the tenon on the end. It just kind of works like a pencil sharpener. Now, you're just going to have to use your tenon maker and use your rasp and everything that you've learned to do and be able to make this kind of flow like a finger right here. You want the lines to pop out on each side, and you want this to be nice and shapely as it comes down without any kind of lump or bump or whatever. These still need to be sanded, but they're pretty much shaped to as far as rough shaping. Up here, you want a nice taper. You want it to taper toward the top in all directions. Now, this is spindle number 4. You want to start there. You want to put it in the hole. And when you first put it in, it's going to be too long. But you want to find out where it's going to sit in relation to the headrest. And you want to leave about 3/4 of an inch sticking up into the 3/8-inch mortise in the headrest. And so you'll make a line, giving yourself that 3/8 of an inch here, take it to the bandsaw, cut it off, take the 3/8 inch tenon maker, again with the curved blade, and then you'll work it until you've got 3/4 of an inch at least that will stick up into the headrest, and without any kind of taper on the side, just as a cylinder. Then use your rasp, keep the center line, and work your taper down. Now, all of the other spindles, you'll have 6 more, and they'll be in sets, and their tapers should match if you're going to do a really nice job of it. All right, so how do you line them up? You want to make sure that they're kind of cradling the back. If all of them are straight like this, then this edge is going to cut into you. So you don't want that. What you want to do is to be able to make yourself a little mark on the center here. I'm making myself a little center line mark here, and I'm going to place it right there. And I want to run. If you need to, you can draw a line, a center line, all the way out to the end of the pommel. Now, why go to all that trouble? When you're gluing them in, you're going to want to be able to glue them in so that they're giving you the right amount of curvature. So, right here, I'm going to line up, make myself a little line for number 5 here, and that's where I want it to sit at that angle. And then notice I'm using the front of the pommel as a place to line it up. So I'm going to make myself a little indexing mark here. And if you index all of your spindles, then they will be turning, it will be just in the right place. So that's going to help me there. So take some time, get this right, and do that all the way around. Then when you put the spindle in, you can turn it and your lines will line up. If you glue one in and it's wrong, it's probably too late to make much of an adjustment. But this cradling of the back is very important. All right, so then once you have one spindle right, then you can put the tenon in and test it by putting the screws in. And if they will all tighten up in their right places, then you go on to the next ones until you've got them all in. And as you see, it takes maybe 5 or 6 hands to do this, but you're only going to have probably 2. So, tighten it all up. Now, the glue that you use is important. Now I'm going to show you the right glue to use. In fact, there are 2 of them to complete your headrest assembly. We're going to work this into a beautiful spindle, and now we got to make 6 more just like it. But that's some of the fun involved in sculptured furniture and building your sculptured rocker. It's a trophy. Spend some time and you'll enjoy it.